Hi everybody, welcome to our Able Carry 13 review. Here at Nomads Nation, we've been reviewing travel and EDC gear for 7 years. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to decide if this is the bag for you. I'm going to pack it out, double check its capacity, give you my pros and cons, and overall scores. And you're going to want to stick around to the end of the video, because I'll make 2 alternative suggestions if you're not really feeling the Able Carry 13. Now let's jump straight into it. All right, let's talk about the gist of the Able Carry 13. So if you don't know Able Carry, they're a small company based in Hong Kong. They're known for really premium materials. So first up, it's a small bag, right? It's only 13 liters. It's very tiny and convenient and good to use when you're walking around a city or something like that. Generally, I think some other things that are popular with the bag are that it's made out of good material like X-Pack, so it's very waterproof. So it's got a cool front pocket, you can see here, so you can fit quite a lot in there. I typically put things like my keys and just like, it's more of like a dump pocket for me. I just put whatever I have like that I need to dump in the bag, usually in this pocket. Aside from that, I think the other big feature about this bag is that it has an actually very nice laptop sleeve for such a tiny bag, right? So on a 13-liter bag, you're usually not fitting like a full-size laptop, but you can easily fit a 13 to 14-inch laptop here. And one other thing that's pretty cool is this little back pocket that they have on the back of the bag. I think this is pretty cool just because of it's very hard to get into for somebody who's trying to maybe steal your stuff or something like that, because it's against your back most of the time when you're wearing the bag. So I usually use this bag to like put like cash or passports or anything important that I don't want to lose. So the other big thing would be the shoulder straps. So the shoulder straps on the Able Carry 13 are extremely comfortable. They're much thicker than what you would normally see on a bag this size. Like on most bags you see, they'll be like very thin, loose types of straps, but not here on the Able Carry 13. These are strong, beefy straps that you can easily see on a much larger bag. We'll talk about the comfort in more detail in a little bit. So let's get on to like the volume test. Able Carry claims that the bag can hold 13 liters, so we're gonna test that out and see if that claim holds up. So let's get started here. All right, so basically we just filled up the main compartment on this bag because, to be fair, when you have the bag fully packed out, you're not getting a lot of extra capacity here in the front pocket. Same with the back pocket here, you're not really getting anything extra here. You could probably fit something flat, but not really a lot of extra like capacity. Now, while we have the bag fully packed out, let's check the dimensions of the bag. First, let's look at the width. So we're looking at about 10 inches in width. Now, in terms of length, we're looking at about 16, 17 inches long. And in terms of depth, it is not a very deep bag, so it's only about, I'd call it about 6 inches. All right, now let's see if the capacity holds up. So looking at the capacity of the bag, it's definitely over 10 liters. I would say it's probably pretty close to the 13-liter advertised capacity that Able Carry claims. I will say the bag definitely feels like a 13-liter bag. It's not gonna feel like a 16 or a 20-liter or anything like that. There's no extra capacity, but I think you do get the full 13 liters out of this bag. One thing I will note is that we did have a hard time filling the bag to test out the capacity, just because of the cone shape that Able Carry uses throughout their bags. It makes it kind of hard to fill up without it all kind of spilling out. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt on this one, that we didn't get to the full 13 liters, but I do think it will fit the full 13-liter capacity. So Able Carry claims that the bag weighs 1.5 pounds, so we're gonna test that out to see if it holds up. So coming in at 1.68 on this luggage scale, so a little bit higher than Able Carry claims. On this luggage scale, we're getting it coming in at around 1.64 pounds. So on both luggage scales, it's about 0.1 pound more Able Carry claims. That is pretty consistent. We do see a lot of bag brands tend to like under quote their bag weights, but it's pretty close, we could say, with Able Carry. So this is the X-Pack version of the bag. The Cordura bag actually is stated to weigh 1.4 pounds. So in both of our measurements, it came in at around 1.6, 1.65 pounds, which is pretty close to what Able Carry claims, but it is a little bit higher, we have to say. The Able Carry 13 comes in 5 different colors and 2 different materials. Fortunately, we're a bunch of X-Pack nerds here at the Nomads Nation team, so we only have the X-Pack options. But you can see here we have the black, we have the olive green, and we have the navy here. So for the ripstop, you only have 2 color options. You have tan and you have black. All Able Carry products are protected by their limited lifetime warranty, and the price ranges from around 150 to 180 USD. And if at any point in this video you decide that you do want to make a purchase, we recommend that you do so with the first link in the description. That link makes sure you get the best price, And if we have any discount codes, that's where you'll definitely find them. All right, let's talk about the front of the Able Carry 13. Aesthetically, I think the bag does look very good. It's like a very sleek, minimal bag. It only has a little bit of like obvious branding here with this little Hypalon tag here, which isn't very in your face or anything like that. Overall, I think it's a great bag to bring to the office because it does fit like a 13-inch, 14-inch laptop. As we mentioned before, the bags we have here are an X-Pack. So X-Pack, if you don't know, is a very high-grade material. It's actually a navy sailcloth. The main reason a lot of bag brands use it is just because it's extremely waterproof. This is my bag I bring to the office every day, right? So I chose to go with X-Pack because I'm often carrying my laptop out for work. And I don't want it to get destroyed in the Hong Kong rains that I have to walk through every once in a while. So I generally do like X-Pack. I do generally think that the ripstop options look better, like just from a pure aesthetic perspective. But I think for the waterproof aspect, the X-Pack is the way to go if that's something you value. We also happen to have one of the older models here in the office. So this is actually a Able Carry 13 from 6 years ago. So they've actually made some changes since then, and the bag is actually better now than it was then. But you can see how the X-Pack ages over time. So if you can see over here, like the grid pattern here definitely became more pronounced over time. And that's just how X-Pack ages. Right? So over time, the grid pattern will get more pronounced. As you can see on my bag, it's newer, you don't see it as much, but you can definitely see it more here on this navy option. So I think the first thing most people are gonna notice is this big front zipper pocket here. So as you can see, this is a pretty large pocket, but it does share capacity with the main compartment. So I generally use this as like a dump pocket. I just put anything I don't want to be holding in this pocket, and that's pretty much all I use it for. It does have a key leash in here as well. I will be honest with you, I have never used this since I've had this bag, just because, I don't know, since I usually have so much junk in this pocket, it's not somewhere I usually want to put my keys. Aside from that, you do have a water bottle pocket here on the front, which can fit a decently sized water bottle. You're not gonna fit anything like a 1 liter or a 2 liter giant water bottle, but we'll test that out later. So I'm gonna pack out these compartments later in the video as well, like the front pocket and the water bottle pocket, but I'm gonna wait till we pack out the main compartment of the bag in the next chapter so you can get a better sense of how these pockets will function when the bag is full. Okay, so let's jump into it and talk about the middle of the Able Carry 13. So as you can see here, it is a half zip. It's not a full clamshell design that goes down the full length of the bag. And we have a few little pockets and features in here that are pretty useful, I would say. The first would of course be the laptop pocket. So that fits about a 13 or 14-inch laptop. You're not gonna fit a 17-inch like monster gaming laptop in there, but for like average work computer, you're probably fine with this bag. And it does have a nice false bottom, I have to say, so we can test that out later and I'll show you. Aside from that, we also have this tinier pocket here, which would be more for like a tablet or maybe some documents. And then we have a zipper pocket at the top, which is where we can throw some tinier little knickknacks or something like that. All right, now we got a bunch of stuff we're gonna try and fit in the Able Carry 13. All right, so let's get started packing it out. I think first let's start with a laptop, right? So like we said earlier, this will usually only fit like a 13 or 14-inch laptop. This is a perfect cutout of a 16-inch MacBook Pro, and as you can see, this is not really, yeah, that's not gonna fit. On the other hand though, we have a 14-inch MacBook, and you can see that goes right in without any issue, right? So zipped up, no problem, right? All right, now let's, I guess, try the tablet pocket. So we have two tablets here. We have a 13-inch and an 11.5. So for the 13-inch tablet, that is gonna be pretty tight. I don't think that, it does fit, but not very smoothly. I probably wouldn't recommend putting a 13-inch tablet here with a laptop. It would be very tight, but it is possible. And with a smaller tablet, like an 11.5-inch, you can see there's no issues whatsoever. So it goes very smoothly in with no problems at all. Just remember this, that I've been using this bag for like 2 years, so I've been carrying a 13-inch laptop every day, and I feel perfectly safe with my laptop in this bag. I think with a 14-inch or a 13-inch laptop, as well as a small tablet, I think you're in good shape with this bag. If you're trying to put in like something larger, like a bigger tablet or something, I feel like it might not be as secure. But I think if your setup is similar to mine, I think this is a great bag for you. One reason I feel very confident with this bag is I know that it does have a false bottom on the laptop slot. So that means that the laptop slot doesn't go fully down to the bottom of the bag, and it leaves some space so that when you drop the bag, the laptop doesn't hit directly. So instead of like basically hearing a like, when you drop the bag, you hear like a muffled thud because the laptop is protected. All right, so we got a bunch of different stuff, and now I'll show you a few different pack outs that we could try. So first, let's try with a hoodie. I think this is something everybody's carrying on a day-to-day basis, and I often put hoodies in this bag. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm not carrying a whole lot in this bag. I will say I'm usually just carrying the laptop and maybe a hoodie, right? So I stuff a hoodie down there, and maybe I have some other stuff like my headphones, so I'll throw those in there as well. And that's honestly pretty much it, aside from some smaller knickknacks. So I could put some in the pocket up here. I usually put something like tissues, maybe my wallet, something like that. And that's it. Honestly, I'm not gonna fit that much more in this bag, as you can see. It's already pretty full. Able Carry did also include some side pockets here on the side, these little gray things. Honestly, I didn't even know they were pockets. The first time I saw them, I assumed they were some structural part of the bag. I have never used these. Able Carry does say you can fit some tiny little things in there, maybe even a tiny water bottle, but I personally don't find them very useful. Now that we've packed out the main compartment, now let's see what the front pockets can actually fit. Let's start out first with the water bottle pocket here. So as you can see, this is not a huge water bottle pocket. You're not gonna fit too much in there. So especially when the bag is fully packed out. So we could try with an umbrella first. So an umbrella, not gonna be an issue, go right in, right? Most of the time, I'm carrying an umbrella, not a water bottle. And so an umbrella does fit perfectly in this pocket, and that's typically what I use it for. This is a 24-ounce water bottle, and even this is a struggle to get in here, to be honest. Like, it's not an easy thing to get in there, right? Now, we have a 1 liter here, and I can almost guarantee this is not gonna fit, but we can try. I mean, okay. It kind of fits, I guess. I don't think it's something you really want to do. Now let's talk about the front zipper pockets when the bag is fully packed out, okay? So looking at the front zipper pocket, you see like a lot of that capacity we saw earlier is kind of gone, right? So it still has room, but it's not anywhere near what we saw when the bag was empty. Okay, so you can fit some smaller stuff in the front pocket. So things like a protein bar, your keys, maybe a tape measure, something like that. All that can fit in there easily, right? So there's no issue there. But if you're gonna try and put something big like a hoodie in the front pocket when the bag is fully packed out, then it's probably not gonna work out for you. Okay. I generally use this pocket mostly as like my quick access pocket because that's the closest thing we have to one of those on this bag, right? So I just like to flip it around really quick, and that's one of the easier ways to get my stuff, right? Also because you don't really have the typical top zipper pocket that a lot of bags have. So this really becomes your main dump pocket or place that you put your valuables. So one other thing to note is the bag does actually have a lot of latch points. So we have 2 up here at the top, you can see. We have 1 down here on the side, down here. And then we have a hidden one that Aaron just showed me, I never knew about, down here under this flap, which, yeah, I've had this bag for 2 years and never knew that existed. I personally do not use latch points. I'm just not the kind of person that likes stuff dangling off my bags. But if that is your jam, there's definitely a lot of places to do it on this bag, right? So you could have your sunglasses dangling off like that. That's perfectly fine. So the top handle, I have to say, is also great. It's very strong. You can feel this thing is not gonna break anytime soon. It's not the comfiest handle in the world, I'm not gonna lie, but I have to say it's very sturdy and I do often use it. All right, now we're gonna do a quick self-standing test to see if the bag can stand on its own. Let me give you a spoiler, it can't. Okay, all right, so, and then it stands as I say that. So looking at it now, the way it's packed out, it can stand. I always see that like about 90% of the time when I put the bag down, it is gonna tip forward. So generally I lean it up against the wall always so that the front is facing the wall. So next we're gonna just check if this will fit as a personal item on most major airlines in the United States. So as you can see here, this is the dimensions that most airlines will allow in the US. As you can see, the Able Carry 13 is not really gonna have any issues fitting as a personal item, right? It manages to slide in very easily. I personally don't really travel with this bag, but I could see it being like a good personal item if you have like a larger suitcase for your other stuff, and if this is just the bag that you bring on the plane. But it's a tiny bag, right? So if you're gonna bring a personal item or something like that, I typically would choose something larger than a 13-liter bag. All right, now let's talk about the back of the Able Carry 13. So on the back of the bag, there's not too much to see here. We got a little tiny Able Carry logo up here, and you can see again the little one here on the shoulder strap. So the other big feature I think on the back of the bag is this back pocket here. So it is a flat pocket and it doesn't have a lot of capacity. I personally don't use this pocket that often unless I'm traveling or moving around with my passport or something. I would put my passport in here, but it's not somewhere I would put my wallet or something because it's not really a quick access pocket. I basically have to take off my backpack to access this. So it's a good pocket, I do use it, but it's not like something I use on a day-to-day basis. I think the other thing about this is like a lot of this is my opinion just because I'm a bigger guy, right? So like this bag is tiny for me. So when I wear the bag, it's like quick access things that a lot of people maybe can use, I can't really use. Like for example, if I'm trying to get into this back pocket like this, just swinging around, like it's possible, but I look ridiculous, right? The one thing I kind of dislike about the bag is that it doesn't really have a lot of ventilation. You can see like on a lot of other backpacks, they have like a lot of mesh or panels or things like that that like allow some airflow to go through on the back of the bag. And this does not have that. I do think it's still a comfortable bag. It's a 13-liter bag, so I don't expect them to put a crazy amount of ventilation or padding and things like that. But I do think it would have been nice if we had some mesh here or something on the back, okay? In terms of comfort though, I think the main thing to talk about is the shoulder straps. So I think this is the big differentiator between this and any other bag in this size. Because realistically, this is probably the most comfortable bag you can have at this size. So as you can see, like the shoulder straps here, they have a nice mesh to them. They're very thick, and you can see they basically are, I don't know, probably some of the most comfortable straps you can see out there on a bag this size. I have been using this bag for 2 years, and I have to say this is definitely one of the most comfortable bags that I own. Also on the straps, you have a few little features that are interesting. So the bag does come with a sternum strap. I personally don't use it on a 13-liter bag, so I don't think it's necessary. But if you are carrying some heavy stuff, this can definitely help to take some of the load off for you. You also have a couple weird features here. I think the weirder one is the card holder slot. So there actually is a pocket in this, actually on both sides, I think, yes, that you can put a card within these straps. I personally will never use that ever, just because of if you do put a card in here, when you're wearing the bag, these straps bend, right? So your card will also end up bending. That's why I don't find those particularly useful. And here you can see what a card going into the card pocket looks like, right? So it goes right in there, as you can see. No issues, right? Also on the other side, same thing. And then, but you can see my card is in here, and if I start bending it, I am bending the card. One final thing to note is you do have another final latch point here on the strap. So you could hang a water bottle or your sunglasses here on the front of the bag. I personally, again, don't use that because I don't really like things just dangling off my chest. Final note on the Able Carry 13 back side is there is no luggage pass-through. I personally do think that is a bit of a miss on their part. I know this bag wasn't intended to be a travel bag, but I do think just including a luggage pass-through wouldn't have cost them anything, and it would make this bag a little more versatile. Now let's talk about the overall pros and cons of the Able Carry 13. Pro number one would just be the overall size of the bag. I do feel like this is one of the few fully featured bags that is like around this size at 13 liters. Most of the other bags out there that fit in that 10 to 15 liter range tend to be a little flimsier, and they're clearly missing some of the nicer features that premium bags typically have. Pro number two would definitely be the comfort of the bag. So generally these straps are fantastic, especially when you're carrying some heavier stuff. The Able Carry 13 never ever feels heavy when I'm wearing it. So I do think the comfort of the bag is definitely one of the biggest pros for this. So my final pro would be the laptop slot. There's really not a lot of bags that really protect your laptop as well as the Able Carry 13 at this size. So okay, cons. Con number one now, I would say of course, is the fact that there is no luggage pass-through. Con number two would be the lack of a top access pocket. And my final con would be this water bottle pocket, which like I said, I don't use as a water bottle pocket. I only put my umbrella in there or something. All right, now we're gonna take these pros and cons and give you my overall scores. Just note, these scores are personal and they're just based on my experiences with the bag. So score number one is for comfort, and like I said before, I think the bag is incredibly comfortable. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 on the comfort score. Next score that we're gonna look at is value. So like I said earlier, this bag comes in at between 150 to 180 USD depending on the material. I'm not gonna lie, for a bag this size, I cannot say that this is great value. It is a premium bag, I understand that, but if you're looking at a pure value for money perspective, it's not that, right? It's not great value for money. But so I would give it like a 3 out of 5 on the value score. My overall score, I'm gonna be a bit biased because I like this bag, I use this bag, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think the only things that could bring it up to a 5 would be to maybe add another quick access pocket to the top, a luggage pass-through, and honestly, that's pretty much it. I think it'd be a 5 out of 5. And just a reminder, if you're thinking about buying one of these bags, we recommend you do so with the link in the description, just to make sure you get the best price. And if we have any discount codes, that's where you'll find them. All right, now let's get on to some alternatives to the Able Carry 13. First up though, if you're new to the channel, you should check out our leaderboard video. That's where the Nomads Nation team gets together and picks our favorite bags in a bunch of different categories. Also, in case you don't know, here at Nomads Nation, we actually started our own bag brand called Firo. We make gear that keeps modern professionals streamlined and focused. And if you want to learn more about Firo, you can do so at firo.co or with the second link in the description. But if we're really close with the Able Carry 13, here are 2 bags that might get you a little closer. So first up would be the Alpaka Metro. I would say the main differentiators between this and the Able Carry would be that in terms of price, it's significantly cheaper. It's around the same size, and it does generally have a bit more of a professional looking aesthetic. So you're not gonna get the comfort you would get with the Able Carry 13. As you can see with these straps, they're much thinner, but you do get some ventilation, which might make it a bit more suitable for you if you're somebody who tends to run a little hot. Overall, it's just a really good bag. And honestly, it was one of my top contenders when I was shopping for the Able Carry 13. So my other alternative would be the Pakt mode convertible. The reason I would choose this one over the Able Carry 13, possibly for some people, would be that it's just a taller bag. So if you're like a taller person, it might look better on you compared to the Able Carry 13. And it's also just really designed for travel. So it has a luggage pass-through, it packs very flat, and these straps could actually be changed to turn the bag into a sling if you prefer that. Realistically, all these bags are awesome, but you just gotta pick the one that's right for you. And to learn more about the 2 alternatives we suggested, check out these 2 videos here. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. My name is Tony, and thank you so much for watching Nomads Nation. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.